big screen mainstream actors today in his history.
Well, so Doug, here's a question. How can you tell the difference between a real NFT and fake?
Welcome to the Tech School Podcast, powered by DSDT. I'm Josh. Good afternoon.
And I am the man in the machine.
Carlos, how do you do, brother?
I'm working on it. It's one of those days today.
Yeah, I hear you're pretty busy over at DSDT. We're working remotely today. So what's going on your way?
Yeah, it's really busy today. I'm just saying it really is. I'm having one of those days, man. I'm trying to catch up.
It's hump day.
It's hump day?
Hump day.
Is it?
Wednesday.
I don't see.
You don't even know what day it is.
So today is my first day back, so it feels exactly like a Monday.
Okay, where have you been? Let's start there.
Oh man.
Let's get a little caught up.
Oh man. So I went to Costa Rica for 5 days. So I'm still on Costa Rican time.
It's a 5-hour difference, I believe.
It's no, it's a 2-hour time difference.
Okay.
It's about a 6-hour flight. So at the end of the day, I'm still trying to catch up. It seems so many things happens in the span of 5 days. You know, and I'm really trying to catch up. I mean, talking about from a school's perspective, we hired 4 other instructors. I've only met one of them. You know, it's like I left and turned the lights off and I came back and everything had been switched when I turned the lights on. So for the good, it's for the good, but at the same time, it's just so much is going on around here. Really
quite
is.
the process. What kind of instructors?
So we have new Security Plus instructor. We have a new Network Plus instructor. We have a new CISA instructor. And we also have someone that's going to build out a blockchain technology program for us. So I'm kind of, you know me, I'm really excited about that, right? Mr. Crypto Los. So just a lot of great, phenomenal things happening around here, but they all happened while I was away. So I'm playing catch up.
But you kind of knew it was coming. It's just getting back and just getting caught up on the movement.
Yeah, well, yeah. Did I know they were coming? No, I didn't.
You did? Okay.
Nobody tells me nothing. Nobody tells me nothing except for just stand over here and smile. So, I knew that we were going to be doing some hiring for instructors. I knew that. Actually, I interviewed the one that I met before I left. The other 3 had no idea, no clue, whatever. And so even with the blockchain development, that was a happy surprise. Just happened to find someone at the right time to be bringing them aboard. So, that works definitely for the area that we like to move into as far as preparing the students for the opportunities that are there within that industry. And, like I say, outside of that, I've been shut down for 5 days. I mean, literally, I didn't check any emails, didn't do any work. It was just more relaxation time.
Hey, sometimes you have to get away, unplug, recharge. And then when you get back, it's a hectic day or two, but
right. So let me ask you, because I'm sure you do it, right? Do you ever just go with family or friends and just have a few days of downtime? Because so I have a cousin. The cousin lives in Memphis, and so he called me up back in August, and he was like, I'm going with some friends to Costa Rica, and you should come. Well, the friends, they're all military. All of them are military, right? So I'm the outsider. But all the same, I'm like, okay, I'll work with vets. I mean, how crazy could it be? So sign me up. So I go. And I'll even venture out to say this: life-changing. Life-changing. These guys were so impactful. So, sometimes I have this thought process where I'm not too open to critique or criticism, right? I don't care how constructive it is. I'm just not. So I'm working on it, right? I'm working on me. I'll tell you guys about me.
I'm working on me.
Right, I'm working on me. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking with these guys, and the lessons that they've learned and the accomplishments that they've made. It's like sitting there and you're talking to what's his name, Robinson. And it's okay to feel vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's okay to say, I don't think I got this right. And what do you think I should do? And it just was, 5 days of that. And I left feeling rejuvenated. I felt inspired. And so I just feel like I'm at another phase of this life because, as I'm working on me, I'm about to turn 50 years old. So I'm constantly trying to think of, okay, what is this next phase going to be about? How am I going to reinvent myself, or how do I elevate myself? And it just feels like another one of those pieces that were added to the puzzle.
Accepting vulnerability is part of growth.
Okay, I'm getting comfortable with it now. Hold on now. I'm not going to get it completely on the couch up here today. I'm just saying.
Okay, and I'm going to pivot, but still stick on vulnerability, and then we can come back to technology because that's what we do here on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Think about one of the best artists out there right now who's a generational artist. Throw a few names out there. Let me see if you can guess who I'm talking about.
Okay, so you want me to think of an artist out there right now that's a general
who's at the top of the game and would be considered a generational artist?
I know. Kanye West?
No.
Generational artist? Mr. Big?
Who?
Ron Isley?
No.
Well, I can't do this then. I don't know. You tell me.
Drake.
Drake is a generational artist?
Think about it. Think about all of his music.
Okay.
He has something. His music. He has something that can hit on every emotion.
Okay.
And what makes Drake so great of an artist is that he made vulnerability a thing. He made it okay in his music to show vulnerability.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where I'm getting at as part of growth, because it sets him apart from everyone else. I mean, he's at the top of the game, if you will, quote unquote.
Okay.
So,
all right. I'll take your I'll take your reasoning for that. Yeah.
All right, now let's go back. Let's get back into technology.
Yeah. I just think that as I am constantly trying to evolve, that's probably one of the biggest things DSDT does, especially with the veteran population that we work with. We have a lot of men and women that are looking for those next phases in their lives after the military. And I feel, for all intents and purposes, we all are going through some form of that evolution, whether or not we acknowledge it. I think too, some of us can become so complacent. We get up with the hustle and bustle every day. Oh yeah, it's hump day. I got 2 more days till Friday, and then I get a chance to start it all over again, that we never really give credit or takes note of the fact that I'm constantly evolving and into that next phase of who I'm going to be. And so that was definitely one of the things that kind of stuck out to me these past few days. Definitely by far looking forward to the next wherever it's to be. First time that I really got a chance to use my passport. And so, true story, a few years ago, I took a Spanish class because I've always had this thing about the Spanish culture. Always knew that there would be an opportunity for me to go. And so here I was in the midst of, nobody speaking English. I got my Google Translator with me. I'm trying to type and ask questions and, but it wasn't as difficult as one may think that, if I go to a French speaking native country, then I won't be able to communicate and I won't be able to get around. It wasn't as bad. It absolutely wasn't. And I'm looking forward now to going anywhere that my heart would say go. I am. So, do you have your own tales of going outside the country?
Well, last year I went to Paris for the weekend.
Oh, you
For
speak, you
yeah, a
speak
friend of
some,
mine.
you speak a little French?
I don't speak French.
Okay.
Yeah, we made it happen without French, having to speak French because English is a common language over in
Mhm.
France.
Mhm.
But yeah, a friend of mine turned 40, and he talked a bunch of us into going to Paris for the weekend. Flew out
See,
Friday night, went hard Saturday, Sunday, came back Monday.
that's what I'm talking about. See, those are the type of friends I'm talking about right there. Those type of friends that say, you know, hey man, let's meet in Dubai for the weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's go to Dubai. Who's gonna pay for it?
Exactly like that. Yeah, a few grand came out of my pocket for sure, but hey, I
Yeah.
did it. It's when a person asks me, "Hey, do you have a out of the country tale?"
Mhm.
Boom, I got that right there. I walked up the Eiffel Tower building. I walked up all 1,665 or 85 steps.
1,600.
Yes, more than 1,600 steps to walk up the Eiffel Tower. I
No,
walked up
sir.
the Eiffel Tower.
No,
How
sir.
long is this gonna take?
I'm good.
It took a while.
I'm good. I'm good. Not doing it. Not doing it at
It
all.
took a while, brother. That
And
it did.
so that's the one thing about these mancations, right?
Mhm.
The one thing definitively without the ladies is that I don't have to go do the touristy stuff. You know, I get to,
Yeah.
I mean, Sunday, I just laid in bed all day. I'm just going to tell the truth. I didn't get a chance. I didn't get out. There was parts of the town that I didn't even venture out to see. Why?
Mhm.
Because the camaraderie, the conversation, you know, we had a pool table inside the penthouse that we rented out, and it was just all on point. It was just a good time with just the fellas, you know?
Right.
So I look forward to spending another one of those. But I'm sure that one of the persons that we're about to talk to, she might have her own story of one of those great places that she's been to, right?
Oh yeah, let's find out. Who do we have? Amber.
Hello, Amber.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I was listening to your conversation about traveling and I just kept wanting to jump in. I'm like, oh.
Well, jump on in. What you got?
No, I just thought it was funny when Carlos was saying about how, going without any women and how, the experience is a little different. Listen, I feel you because I just when I was in Vegas, I went there for business, but I had a friend with me and she was like wanting to do all the tourist stuff. And I was just like, it's kind of not what I was, wanting to do, but
right.
I can get that. I can understand that. Yeah.
So, okay, so you go with a friend. So I take it, did your husband go?
No.
That's what I'm talking about. So it's like when you are with your significant other, depending on the person. Now, my wife, she wants to get out and walk everywhere. I don't care where it's to. She wants to walk. She wants to go down to the little trinket shops. And if there's 4,500 on one side, she want to stop at every one of them. I don't want to do that. I'm just telling you the truth. I don't want to do it. I just want to stay in the hotel room and watch Netflix.
Listen, I'm extremely blessed on this page. I don't know how, but it works out every time. When I want to walk, he wants to walk. When he wants to chill at the hotel room, I'm like, that's cool because I need some me time. So I'll go out on the balcony or whatever while you get a nap because I don't really nap like that. But some people need their nap time, and I love that. When I'm traveling with people, I hate being around somebody all the time. I need like alone time a lot.
Yeah.
So
not your significant other, right?
Yeah, even with my significant other, I'm like, okay, you go take a nap. I'll go to the balcony or I'll go do my thing or whatever. Like I need my alone time. So yeah, but I'm blessed in that we're usually on the same page. Like we both love to explore and wander and all of that. But then also we kind of are just usually in sync when it comes to, okay, let's just chill.
Yeah. Amber gonna get me in trouble. 'Cause I don't want to go. I just don't want to
We're
go.
still, we just got married in February, so it's still like the honeymoon phase.
Fresh.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. You just got me out of trouble.
There you
So
go.
I'm
I
good.
got you.
I'm good. So I see that you've been over at the TEDx, haven't you?
Yep, I volunteered there this morning.
How did that go?
It was so amazing. This is my third year volunteering for TEDx, and I love it. Next year, I'm speaking it into existence. I will be speaking on that stage, 2023. But for the past 3 years, minus the COVID year, I have volunteered, and man, I love it. It is such the energy that you get just being around so many incredible individuals, and like the desire and the hunger to learn from people. It's just positive vibes. And it was at the Music Theater last year. I forgot the event space that we were at last year, but then before that it was at the Garden Theater.
No, I think a few years ago it was at the Masonic.
You're right. I just lied. It was at the Masonic. Yep. But I volunteered that year too. And it was a good vibe. It was great today. I got to see a few performances and a few speakers because I was helping backstage. That was my job today. So I had to, help them with whatever props they needed and make sure they got on stage when they were supposed to and all of that. So it was really good.
Any particular story, any testament that stood out to you?
There was a speaker. There was a couple of things, actually. There was a skating. I forget the first line. I want to say it's like all love, no hate, just skate or something like that. But they're like a skating team. And it's just a group of people who do all these dances and tricks and everything on their skates. And I guess a recreational. So they did like a performance. They were so awesome. Just like the whole team was just such great energy. And they did such an amazing job. And then Benji, I forgot his last name, but he's a commercial real estate broker in Detroit. And he brought his daughter and he did a speech on nonverbal communication. So she doesn't use words to communicate, and she doesn't use ASL, but they found a way to communicate nonverbally through like syllables and things like that. And watching his story, and her story was really incredible. She has such a large, I think she's like maybe 7 years old. I don't remember exactly how old, but she has a huge personality. Doesn't say a word. I love that. I love that she's found ways to communicate. She was singing without words. You have to, I don't know if they like show it online, but I mean, had the mic and was doing Whitney Houston, all the facial expressions, everything, but she wasn't singing. It was great. It was a great speech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm probably sometimes when I sing, they probably wish that I didn't use words. Probably, right?
Carlos, your best song is Mute.
Have you guys ever tried? I'm just asking. Has either of you ever tried to go a day kind of like doing a talking fast?
Talking fast?
Yeah.
Like
going 24 hours or longer without talking.
Carlos.
Oh, yeah, I forgot who I was talking to. Oh my God. I have. Of the three of us, I have. And I can tell you that you hear a absolute lot. And most of the time when you're used to talking probably as much as we do, people always think that either you have, something's wrong with the throat or, you lost your voice or whatever, but it just gives you an opportunity to listen a whole lot more. I haven't done it in years, but I have done talking fast.
I've done that like on a much smaller scale where I've been at work, I've been talking all morning, all day. And then when I get home, someone tries to call me. I try to avoid that conversation. Like I've been talking all darn day.
That every day of my life.
Yeah. Like I want to shut the hell up for a second. I don't feel like talking. I've been talking all day.
You can't count ignoring bill collectors, Josh. You can't. I'm just saying you can't do it, Josh. You can't do it.
They can text me.
Okay. So what's happening in tech news? Can you bring us up to date, Amber?
Yeah, so we got a couple of updates. Before we get into this YouTube thing, a really quick note on TikTok. I don't know, because it's not here. It's not official. There's nothing I could find written about it. But for TikTok users, I don't know if you've realized that you don't have the ability to pin a comment anymore. It has been driving me absolutely crazy the last few days. And I can't find, the people are doing TikTok videos about it. which is the only thing I could find on it was TikTok videos where people were like, where the hell is my pin? Why can't I pin a comment? And I don't know if it's just a glitch with the update or if this is an actual new thing where they're not allowing us to pin comments anymore. But that's frustrating.
When did that come out? When did that come about?
I don't know. It's just been happening the last few days.
I don't know.
I tried to
Instagram, Facebook. I don't know. Social media has seemed to be a little slow the past few days as far as the algorithm, like your posts getting certain kind of exposure, if you will. Am I delusional? Am I seeing things, or just feels a little off?
I feel like mine's pretty consistent. Like TikTok's been blowing up for me. Facebook is average and Instagram hates me. So that's been my experience like the last few months with all of those platforms. It's been pretty consistent across the board.
Yeah, I think they're taking all of Josh's engagement is like fueling yours. They're siphoning it from everyone else that's not getting a whole lot of engagement and sending it to those that get these millions and millions of engagement,
millions and millions of viewers and followers.
Because I'm telling you right now, my account's crickets. It's been crickets for a while now. I don't know if the algorithm even recognizes my account. I'm just saying.
Once you get it though, like once you start moving up, you just have to play off of that momentum and keep going. I think people get discouraged when they don't get the engagement, and so they're just like, oh, there's no point in posting. Yes, keep posting. Keep posting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna remember that.
But yeah, so YouTube has rolled out a new design that actually a couple of new things, or they're in the process of rolling out. So if you're in YouTube, you might notice that instead of having a big subscribe on the screen, there's now like a little button that you can push to subscribe, or there will be soon if you don't already have that update. Also a feature where you can zoom in on your phone, whether it's Android or Apple, you can zoom in to see the video or get different details and things like that. They've tried to take all the buttons that are typically on the screen where you're watching the video and move them below the video and put them in actual buttons, just so that it's a better like user experience as far as just watching the videos.
Okay. So, and you know what? I noticed this weekend that actually happened to me. I was looking at a video and it seemed like the whole video went black and just a small area where I had my finger, it highlighted. Is this one of the updates that they've recently made?
Yeah, so it's allowing you to like zoom in on things and taking its dark mode darker and creating a new ambient mode. They're really trying to just improve the overall user experience.
Okay. So, and if you could guess, why?
Well, I think that they're just trying to find a way to continue to stay ahead of the game. Like now that Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everything is like understanding that video is kind of the next wave. YouTube has rolled out stories. They've rolled out live. Like they're trying to keep up with all of these other channels that are now pushing video so that YouTube can, I would imagine, remain in the running for the #1 video platform.
But I mean, how could YouTube be ever phased out, if you will? I mean, it's kind of like the search engine, but right after Google.
Absolutely. Yeah. TikTok's giving it a run for its money because YouTube is more longer form videos, whereas TikTok gives you the option to find out what you're looking for in under 3 minutes. You can get that same answer versus a YouTube like 30-minute long video. Nobody really wants to watch 30 minutes anymore.
No.
So
now there are some of us that kind of still like that long form. I mean, I watched the video of, I won't call the podcast, but it had to be almost 3 hours. And I said,
there are certain people, and there will always be a place for that. But I think if I can get micro pieces of, I can get the gist of that podcast in 3 minutes or less, I'm trying to do that. Like if I got time to binge or to sit down and watch, 3 hours, that's another story. But 9 times out of 10, I just give me bite-sized pieces, 3 minutes or less.
Okay. Josh, and also back to the statement you were making. I don't know if the platform stays as relevant in 10 years as it is today, right? I mean, you think back to the Yahoo Messengers and the AOLs and, the years of old. These were powerhouses in their day, but there always comes along something to replace the present. You know, and I was having that conversation actually with one of the guys over the weekend, and he was saying, come on now, who can ever create another Amazon? Well, it just depends on the next phase of technology.
The
You know,
creator of the next Amazon.
Absolutely, because it's coming. You know, it's good for now. It's a Titan.
Mhm.
Blockbuster was a Titan in its heyday.
Blockbuster,
Kmart.
Redbox, from Blockbuster to Redbox, from Redbox to streaming service.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I remember Napster. You know,
Mm.
I remember LimeWire. You know, these platforms, they no longer exist, but they were the Titans in their heyday. So there's always something that's coming along, depending on how they use the technology and whether these platforms can stay relevant. So I can almost bet you that there's something that's on the horizon that probably will knock a YouTube out. Don't know what it is, and maybe we create it, but it would be great to see.
Mhm.
Great.
So, all right, what is next, Miss Amber?
Okay, so this is kind of a cool thing for those of you who use Twitter more than I do. But Twitter now lets you post images, videos, and GIFs in a single tweet, which is a huge deal because I can't tell you how many times for my clients I was trying to post maybe a picture and a video or a picture and a GIF or GIF, whichever you call it. And I was unable to do that. And finally, with this update, they allow you to post. Before it was like you could just post photos or just one video. Now you can do multiple, which is a great thing.
Okay, so
Mm.
Josh and I are still trying to see the relevance.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to the party, Twitter.
Right,
Part.
right. And it seems to me that if anyone was big on using Twitter, it would be Josh. Right?
Yeah, I would think so too. I would think that you would be big on Twitter.
Yeah.
No, I'm big on Facebook and I'm big on Instagram. Twitter has always just been limited, in my opinion.
Real quick, so I did a post about the podcast and I tried to tag you. I couldn't even find your Instagram. So I need to know your handle.
What?
Oh, Josh Landon TV.
Got it. All right. So I'll tag you in that post.
Because mine, he always pop up on mine every time he posts. I've been asking the algorithm, why do I keep seeing his? But he don't never see stuff that I post. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I get no recognition.
Well,
right, Josh?
You barely post anything.
That part.
It does. Like I said, Instagram picks and chooses. Instagram legit. I think whoever works at Instagram looks at my accounts like, nope. Like, because my followers, like my people are looking at my page and following me because they're coming from TikTok. And so my page has grown like crazy. And when I look at my insights, when I post a new picture, nobody's seeing it. Instagram is not showing my posts to anyone.
Wow.
And you know what, though? That's exactly. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, Amber, about what you do precisely. I think people have this misunderstanding of what it means to actually be a social media manager, an influencer, a brand ambassador. It's so much work involved, and there's more to it than just posting a picture and thinking that the picture is going to go viral or the video or whatever the case may be. There is a lot that goes into the craft, you know. So, you know, I don't have time for it. When you say, well, Carlos, you really don't post, I don't, because I understand if I really was going to be about that life, what would have to go into it to build the audience that I would be looking for. And I don't have time for that.
Listen, it's crazy. There was a guy named Tim. I don't have my badge. Tim something. He's a comedian and also a social media influencer who spoke at TEDx today. And he was talking about just that. He was talking about being an influencer on social media and like all of these things. It was, you know, kind of like in a comedic way. He listed 10 things and it was basically like give up all your free time, stay on the phone 24/7, check your numbers, worry about if you're doing the right thing, only post what people want you to post. It was like all these things. And he was like, number 11, scratch all that, like just be authentically you, whatever. But he's absolutely right. Like there is so much work and I've been fighting this battle. I've been in social media since 2013 and I've been a brand ambassador for companies. I've done social media management for companies. I've been freelance work and I've also built my own influencer brand. So I've seen all aspects of it, all different angles of the social world. And it is so much work and so much creative brain work and analytical brain work trying to understand what works, why it works, the strategy that has to go into place, the ability to navigate when the strategy is no longer working because the algorithm has changed. So now you have to make adjustments. There is so much that goes into it. And, it's a battle that I fought in the corporate world for a long time, trying to get people who went to school for traditional marketing and don't understand that digital marketing is an entirely different field. And then, also all the snarky remarks. Oh, so you work in social media, so you just like plan Facebook all day. No, like, oh, that just irritates my soul. I'm like, there's so much work that goes into it. It's exhausting. And that's why, like, I'm in several social media groups on Facebook. We are burnt the hell out. Like, people who work in social media are burnt out. It is a low pay. It's like being a parent. Like, it is a thankless job that is so important that people need, but nobody really understands the value of, and completely overlooks the effort and the work and the expertise that has to go into it to do it right.
I agree and wholeheartedly. Listen, I take my hat off to you because I know that it's a lot of work, and especially if you're talking about managing clients and it's not just your platform. And, yeah, you get to experiment, and yes, it's exciting, but at the same time, it's so much work. Why would you even want to put yourself into it unless you're going to get paid for the value thereof?
Exactly.
And I don't really think that you guys get as much credit as you should, unless you're the Gary V's or the Grant Cardones or, the individuals who really have made a name for themselves within the industry. But look at how long it took them to do it. It's not something that's done overnight.
And something too is Gary V was always building his own brand, even when he didn't know that's what he was doing. When you're a social media manager, your job, your life is dependent upon building the brand of others. So you don't have a lot of time or the ability to build your own brand. So then people look at you like, well, if you're so good at social media, how come you only have 100 followers or whatever it may be? Because you have 1,000. I built your brand to have more followers. I don't have the time to focus on mine. And yeah, so I mean, like I said, just people who work in social media in any area of social media are burnt out and tired. Everything is always changing. We're always having to prove ourselves. And like you said, like at the end of the day, once you get to a point of where you kind of earned that, you get to a point where like, look, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Like, I'm not going to take clients that don't make sense, clients that the work is not going to be worth the money that I'm going to get, or, whatever. There's like a number of different things, but between myself and other managers that I've worked with or agencies that I worked with, that's just what it is. It's just like, you know what? This is not going to make sense for us.
She's so good. She's so good. Why don't you just go ahead and give it to her, guys? Give it to her. Give it to her again. You can.
You really gave insight, Amber, on how you would think working for a social media company is this sophisticated line of work, but in a sense, it's kind of like a McDonald's gig. No pun intended.
Well,
what did you just say?
I think, listen, I get what you're saying. Well, I've never worked for a social media company. Like, I've never worked for Facebook or anything, but working for an agency and managing multiple clients. I mean,
well, I guess the understanding I got was like it just you get into such a routine, all the same old routine where you have to challenge yourself, and if you don't challenge yourself, reinvent yourself.
I don't know if I would say you have to challenge
yourself. Bring the pot a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know about if you would have to challenge yourself. I think it's a matter of, okay, say for instance, like with me when I was managing the most accounts that I've ever managed at once in multiple different industries, it was like creative, like writer's block, basically. It's like I have created so many pieces of content for so many different industries. I feel like I've said the same thing over and over and over again because I know that this is going to work.
Repetition.
Yeah, and so it's like, how can I think outside of that, especially when I feel like I already am because I'm doing it for these other clients, but I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work for that. So I have to think something different for that. That's why I'm saying, like, I say to my husband, I'm like, I need a brain break. Like, I want to, and it's funny because Rob Courtney, who Carlos, like I've joked with him a million times. Like, I just want to work at the airport and throw luggage on the plane. Like, I don't want to.
No, you're too talented for that. Let's not get carried away here.
But listen, I say that because for one, free flights, and two,
That's just a free flights.
I just sometimes want to do work that I don't have to use my brain so much for. And I don't have to try to think outside of the box. I don't have to try to create, and I don't have to try to beat an algorithm. And I don't have to try to like create strategy and a different strategy. Like when I think my brain, like they say you only use 10% of your brain. I think my brain has like out-used itself. Like,
Yeah, I think all three of us are guilty of using more than 10% of our brain power.
Yeah.
yeah, so like sometimes I just need a brain break. But yeah. But I love it though, because it is a challenge, and because the algorithm is always changing, because you can work with different industries and different social media channels as they come out. Like I was saying, 2019, TikTok, and here we are in 2022, and people are finally like, oh shit, TikTok. I'm like, yeah, I've been saying that for years. Yeah.
Well, okay, Amber. Thank you again for this week, bringing us an update. I mean, it's not like, I gotta start using my Twitter account again. I don't know. It's got dust.
You need to use your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, your TikTok. You need to start using stuff, Carlos.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. There was a time when I did, but if by now you don't know who I am in life or on social media, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it until it's time. And when it's time, guess what? Then I hire an Amber.
That part. I
You
need
know, it's not like something that I need to do anymore. I'm good. All right. Amber, you want to tell us all where we can find you if we were looking up on your favorite social media?
Yep, you can find me at Get Real with AB on any social channel.
That's what I'm talking about. Amber,
Yes.
Again, we thank you for coming and we appreciate you.
Always a pleasure, Amber. Always.
I appreciate that.
Gotta love Amber.
I do. I absolutely do, because she brings the sauce, the fire every time.
The sizzle.
I mean, but so here's my thing with this whole social media. Not that we were going to go down this rabbit hole, but there's so many ways to get value out of social media than necessarily having to have 200 trillion followers or 700 billion likes, and I think I've always explained this. I used to manage social media accounts for companies for a number of years, and I learned early on, in many cases, companies themselves, they want you to bring value outside of the likes and the vanity metrics. And what that meant is that, how do I give you $1 and you can actually return $2, $15? Figure that out, then we don't even have to do all this posting stuff. And to a great degree, that's what my work has been in. I don't necessarily have to be on a social media platform. I don't need a website in order to show you how we can use the internet as digital marketers in order to bring value. Now, if you specialize in that, then by all means, let you do what you do. But it's not all the same. And we have a tendency to put all digital marketers, all content creators in the same wheelhouse, and it's not. So, all right, Josh, this week, who do we have coming up? Well,
who do we have?
We have a young man. I call him young because y'all all know.
You call everybody a young man. I've noticed that about you, Carlos. You call everybody a young man, a young lady, as if you're 100 years old. You're about to turn 50, not 100.
Well, we sure gonna find out then. Well, this young man.
Oh my goodness.
This young man. I happened to meet him in speaking with the new instructor, Eric. And in speaking to him, I learned real quick that he is a heck of a content creator, heck of a personality. And I thought that it would be great to have a conversation with him in regards to, I always want to bring value to our students, information that they may not have considered before.
Yep.
And when we're talking about the programs that we offer in the digital marketing professional, then I think he exemplifies that. And I wanted to have a discussion about what happens in his real life, with the activities that go around him being a real estate entrepreneur, and how he sees content creation and the value of the technology as it's constantly evolving therein. So without Carlos continuing to give him a lot of fanfare, why don't we bring on Mr. Chris Hubbard?
What's up, guys?
Good afternoon to you, my good brother.
Hello. I'm not all that young either, Carlos. I just turned 34, and I feel extremely old. So I appreciate the little fluff there, but I'm getting up there as well.
Man, I got socks 34 years old.
I'm sure you do.
I just say he's 34. Okay, yes, sir. Sounds good to me. 34.
Brother,
All
do
what
us
you
a
make of
favor.
it, I guess, right?
Let's
Say what?
set the stage by learning exactly what is a real estate entrepreneur. Like, how do you stand out to other real estate agents or managers?
Yeah, Carlos just used a fancy word for a real estate agent. So I'm a real estate agent with Good Company Realty in downtown Royal Oak. So I've been a licensed realtor for a little over 5 years now, and what I've kind of done is use digital media to build a brand for myself. And that basically started from day one. I was brought into the industry. I started at Keller Williams in Royal Oak, and I was taught kind of the traditional methods of being a realtor. Like, I've got a cold call all day and door knock, and that's the only way that I'm going to make it in this industry. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, yeah, it's like 2017 right now. There's got to be a better way to do that, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's all sorts of social media channels out there, and like nobody's really utilizing it in this industry to build something for themselves. So I started studying kind of branding, and I took a pretty extensive course on social media marketing, specifically through Facebook. And actually, it was some dude in Australia that essentially built out a platform and used me as his beta tester. So I went through that. He no longer does that, which is lovely, but I was able to benefit from that, and have essentially built a brand for myself, and that's what I utilize to basically fuel my real estate business specifically.
Okay. So you've been doing it roughly about 5 years now?
A little over 5 years. Yep.
So do you consider yourself to be a content creator of sorts?
Yes, not as successful as I would like to be in it, but I've recently started to catch some steam specifically on YouTube. So starting to grow. I've actually tripled my subscriber count in the last 2 weeks, which is pretty cool. And it's kind of all figuring out an algorithm hack and just rolling with it, doubling, tripling down on that, and continuing to build. But yeah, content creator, I guess we could say that. I wouldn't say that like I've got any huge accounts or anything like that, or any huge channels. I think YouTube is probably my favorite as of right now. But yeah.
Why YouTube specifically?
It's the long form video creation is something that I thoroughly enjoy. I mean, the videos that me and Eric, the instructor that you're talking, have produced in the past, realistically, it's shown me a passion for creation of digital media content that I never knew I had. It's allowed me to embrace my personality and put it out to the world in a way that I've never thought of doing. I've got a super loud personality, and I've watched a lot of Gary Vee, and he preaches this whole just be yourself, and I 4 years ago started doing just that, and it's built my brand into a pretty loud, kind of obnoxious for the industry, but a pretty loud brand. And I've had a couple things that have gone viral over the years, and it's just been a lot of fun being 100% authentic me, and that working to build an audience and to build a brand and to essentially fuel my real estate career.
Okay, so coming from a real estate perspective, now I have to say that probably one of the largest ones I see within the industry is Grant Cardone, right? Where do you see yourself in comparison to those that do use social media effectively within the industry?
Very small fish in the sea in comparison to somebody like Grant Cardone, for sure. But it's something, I'm also new to this. I'm 5 years in the industry, which is, I'm at the beginning of my career still. And consistency is one of the things that I think has been key. And I've fallen off and stopped making content for a month at a time, and life happens. But what I found is the more consistent that I can be with it, the more growth that I see, and the more that affects my real estate business. So
okay.
what would you say to someone who is looking to get into the real estate industry today? And just from a technology standpoint, what kind of evolution are you seeing in regards to technology and home buying?
So first off, if you're looking to become a real estate agent right now when the market's shifting, probably put a pause on it and think about your decision before jumping in. With the market shifting the way it is, it's you're starting to see agents start to die off, and most of the agents that are dying off are the agents who aren't doubling down on digital media, who aren't putting out content and building a brand for themselves. Because without brand, I mean, people are going to forget you. I mean, you're only going to be able to call and remind people and send out enough emails and remind people so many times before, I mean, you're nothing. So the people that I see making it right now are the people that are using digital media successfully, using social media channels successfully, to build that brand. I mean, realistically, in the future, I think brand's going to be everything. When you guys were talking about technology evolving and knocking out things like YouTube and stuff like that, voice technology in the future. If you don't build a brand for yourself, and when somebody goes to ask for a real estate agent, they don't think of your name and specifically call Chris Hubble, the realtor, and where are you going to be?
Get out of my house.
It's just going to basically throw that lead to whoever the biggest real estate agent is out there. And I mean, odds are that's not going to be you. But if you can build a brand where somebody specifically asks for you by name to that voice technology, which, may or may not end up becoming a thing, but I'd be willing to bet that it probably does. I mean, that's going to put you kind of at the top of the pack. So
you remind me of Dr. Paul. So Dr. Paul, once upon a time, was here in the building. And he has a practice over here now, in Corktown, and he services those that are in the community. And he doesn't use insurance; it's more or less a subscription-based model. You pay if you're a kid, it's like $45 or something a month, but an adult, depending on the situation, it's $75 to maybe $100 a month. But that entitles you to services that probably you would pay thousands of dollars if you were using insurance going to another doctor. But his personality and the thought process behind interrupting a industry that has been doing it a certain way for so many years, that sounds like you, and to hear you explain your thought process behind using social media in the way that you do, you have to get called out to speak at engagements about, the way that you're practicing, or do you get that type of notoriety?
Yeah, so the first incident that I had happen, I had a viral listing in Birmingham. It was at a condominium complex, Poppleton Place off of Woodward. So there were multiple listings in the building that had been on the market for roughly a year. So when I got this listing, I knew I had to do something different to get eyes on it. I didn't want my client to have to, sit on this property for the next year. So I took something that's used in every other industry, but not in real estate, sex appeal, and I brought it to the real estate industry. So I actually did listing photos. It was around Christmas time. Did listing photos with a sexy Mrs. Claus, and then I dressed as a Santa Claus in a gimp suit. So essentially a Green Man suit that was done.
I like that approach, Chris, because it shows that you still have to talk with the people.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it brought a ridiculous amount of attention to that listing. I want to say I got over 2,500 leads in the first 24 hours on my real estate website, and most of that they're not interested buyers or sellers. They're just people who want to see sexy Mrs. Claus, But either way, that was 2,500 people's contact information that I was able to drum up off of one listing, which is absolutely incredible. But to what you were saying there, it pissed off a lot of real estate agents in the Birmingham market. I think if I was to do this in Detroit or in Pontiac, something like that, I don't think it would have been as effective. But people saw this in Birmingham and they're like, you can't come to Birmingham and use that sort of marketing tactic in the real estate industry. So it upset a lot of people. My broker asked me to remove the photos. The Real Comp MLS asked me to remove the photos. I essentially asked them to show me what I'm in violation of, and if they can do so, I will gladly take them down. Neither party was able to. My broker ended up backing me behind it, and then the MLS told me that I'm not in violation of anything, and they backed off. But so Channel 7, Channel 4, and then Dave and Chuck the Freak all picked it up because of this. And they didn't necessarily pick it up just because of the marketing tactic, but they picked it up because of how much hate I got for it. So they actually had another realtor who, practices in the Bloomfield, Birmingham market pretty regularly on the air, who basically just shit talked me for 5 minutes, about how I was ruining the industry. But it's like, sex appeal has been used for 100 years in every other industry. Like, why is real estate so buttoned up? And you're starting to see, I think the pandemic helped a lot to evolve the real estate industry. All of a sudden you're starting to see more listing videos, things like that, Matterport 3D tours. But like, when I first did this marketing tactic, nobody was doing Matterport 3D tours. Nobody was doing listing videos. I was one of the few people doing those things. And it's I don't know, it's kind of terrifying to be one of the people that, put yourself out on the line in that sort of way, because I've gotten a lot of hate for it, but at the same time, like, I'm not gonna change who I am because of the industry I'm in. I'm gonna be loud, and I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing. And
I feel I gotta interrupt right here. I feel like I'm talking to, and I'm gonna say it. I feel like I'm talking to a young Howard Stern with a mix of Kanye. Right. And
I'll take it.
that absolutely is the largest compliment you can get, because therein I hear genius, and sometimes your genius can be misconstrued, especially when it makes certain people uncomfortable.
Oh, yes. When you show that, when you showcase your intelligence, when you show that you have a brain and you're not afraid to use it, that can make people feel uncomfortable. And you don't have to do anything combative. You're just expressing your point of view and hitting on certain points, maybe generating a debate, a stronger discussion about whatever the topic may be. But nevertheless, it can increase uncomfortable environment.
Yeah. Where do you think you get that kind of thought process from? Is this something that was developed as a kid, or you just woke up and all of a sudden one day I'm gonna do it this way?
So I was a really quiet kid. I was super shy growing up. So I had a traumatic incident when I was 17 years old. So I actually crushed 2 vertebrae and had a traumatic brain injury, fractured my jaw on each side. So I was in a coma for a month. Wow. And that it completely changed who I was as a person. So like, when I got out of the hospital, learned how to walk again and do all of that, I started living life a little bit more. So I kind of all of a sudden found my personality that was kind of sheltered my entire life. So from the age of 17 until now, it's kind of just continued to grow, and I've embraced my personality a little more, and I haven't been shying away from it anymore. And honestly, like, listening to people like Gary Vee has helped with that a lot. Just not really feeling the need to fit into the real estate industry, but doing things the way that I feel I need to do them. And it's worked wonders for me. There's been times where obviously I've kind of like pulled back in and been like, am I going too far with this? But at the end of the day,
well, that's definitely contrary to Kanye. I'm just saying.
At the end of the day, it's all about being yourself. Especially with content creation. If you're going to go in front of a camera and pretend to be somebody you're not, like, people aren't gonna buy into that. But like, if you,
it never works.
No, and you guys were talking about vulnerability earlier, and like, that's a huge thing. Like, I'm somebody who is super vulnerable, and I will show the world that. And every time that I'm vulnerable on social media, it works really well. People really connect to that. But like, in my industry, it's an industry where people think we all have this perfect life, and that like, there's not like deeper things that go on in our life. And like, I was sober for almost 9 years, and I relapsed for 4 or 5 months, and I'm sober for 23 days as of today.
Congratulations.
And like, I'm vulnerable. Like, I put that out there, and like, I actually gained from that. But like, vulnerability is something that like a lot of industries shy away from. And it's something that realistically we're all human. And like, I think it's super important to remind people that it's okay to not be okay. So I 100% myself. Like, whether that's being vulnerable or being a ridiculous human being, I'm always going to be me,
That's
so like,
man, listen, that's powerful. That's so powerful. Evolution. I was just saying earlier about how we all are in these places of evolution, and it sounds to me like you're trying to figure out yours a lot sooner than some of us. I'm just saying, Josh being a little bit older than I. Right?
I'm older than you.
Just a little bit. To calm down, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little.
Still trying to
tiny
figure out, how this thing is supposed to work, this thing called life.
Yeah.
And not always am I getting it right, but I'm trying to be the best that I can at it.
Yeah.
And I think we don't get enough get enough credit, and we don't get enough recognition for it.
It's okay to reinvent yourself. I mean, at any point in your life. I mean, it doesn't have to be by a certain age. I mean, you can start at 50, you can start at 20. I mean, you can start at 70 years old. But reinventing yourself and continuing to grow daily, I think is a huge part of life. And a lot of people think that they have to meet their goals by a certain age, and that's absolutely not true. Like we live this life one day at a time. Like live in the now and like do something today to make your tomorrow better, and then wake up and do the same damn thing tomorrow.
I'm just saying, listen to this guy. Listen to him.
Incredible. Very insightful.
Yeah. So, all right. So, within the industry, within the real estate industry, first of all, are houses ever going to return back to the regular prices that they were prior to the last year and a half?
Probably not. I mean, all the experts predict we're still going to see price appreciation. It's just going to be a more normalized price appreciation. So we're not going to see an 18% year over year. We're going to see something that's a little more healthy, 3% or so. With that being said, there's so much damn uncertainty out there right now that, I mean, we could see a crash, but in all reality, most recessions don't bring a housing market crash. The last recession scared everybody because, I mean, the largest housing market crash we've seen in quite some time. But that's
going back to the recession, since the recession.
Yeah, I mean, but that's because the housing market crash caused the recession last time. I mean, there were a lot of poor lending habits going on. I mean, a lot of bad things that we've learned from, and we've done a lot to stay away from that area. So I don't think we're going to see a housing market crash. A shift, absolutely. It's ongoing right now. I mean, prices are dropping by small percentages right now. Things are staying on the market a lot longer than they have been. It's one of those things where I've got to coach my clients like, hey, your house is great, but it's not going to sell in a week. Like, we're just not in that market anymore. It's going to sit on the market for a week or two before we get any real interest in it, which is difficult to do with individuals right now because things were so crazy for so long that it's like everyone has this idea that they're going to list their home and it's going to sell in the first 3 days and they're going to have 42 offers on it. But like, we missed that boat, the market has shifted. So changed.
Chris, when is it going to get a little safer to buy as we wrap up 2022 going into 2023? When is it going to become a little bit more of a buyer's market again? Because it has to go in that direction at some point.
I mean, it's still a seller's market, judging by the data. But right now is a great time as a buyer to buy. Interest rates are high, but you're not buying an interest rate. You're buying a home. You can refinance and get a lower interest rate in the future. There's also programs out there, 2-1 buy downs, where you can actually buy into a home at a lower interest rate for the first 2 years of the mortgage. And then in that third year, it'll increase to that 7%. But within 3 years, interest rates will probably come back down and you can refinance before then. Right now, there's a lot less competition in the market. So it is much easier to put an offer in and actually have it accepted, and possibly even put an under asking price offer in and have it accepted, because you're not competing against 12 other offers like you were before. That being said, and the fact that prices are still predicted to appreciate year over year, the sooner you buy, the better. I mean, everybody is so freaked out by, hey, we're at a 7% interest rate, but like you're not buying the interest rate. Refinance when it drops. I mean, that's not a huge deal. Buy right now when the competition's low, so that you're not having to deal with it and pay 40 grand over asking price.
Wow.
Great.
Why did you even get into real estate?
Buying my house, actually. So buying my first house, I worked at a bicycle shop. I managed a bicycle shop for 12 years. It was basically the only job I ever had. I had like a job at Target for like a couple months before this. And I was an incredible salesman at this bike shop. Bought my first home, and as soon as I started going through the process, I knew that was the next step in my life. I had just had my first kid, and my agent showing me the house, and I went home after having our offer accepted, started taking my real estate course. By the time I closed on the house, I was already taking my real estate licensing exam, and basically gave my boss 2 weeks notice, jumped in full force. Like, it's a 100% commission job, and I just took a leap of faith, like I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have anything saved. I just jumped and hoped it worked out, and it did. The first year and a half was extremely difficult, but I stayed persistent and continued doing what I thought was going to work, which was essential digital marketing and social media marketing, and eventually it caught up. And I mean, I'm no longer in a place where like I feel like I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and like that's how my entire life was up until I took this leap of faith and jumped into something where I could create something for myself for the first time in my life, which was pretty cool. So,
are you familiar with any blockchain technology being used in your industry?
It's starting to trickle out. It's not. I don't think there's been any sales within the state of Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. But it is starting to become a thing. It's not very big yet, but it'll definitely be here in the future. So,
what do you think about real estate in the metaverse?
I don't know if I'm all for it, but I mean it's happening.
Right,
so,
right. So if you can sell it in real life, couldn't you sell it in virtual reality?
So me and Eric, the instructor that you guys have, we actually, when the whole metaverse thing first like started taking off, when Facebook switched to Meta and like this whole thing happened, me and him actually started like looking into that and looking into like could we make a push to become like the first realtor within the metaverse, and quite frankly, like I just don't know if I've got all that much interest in like getting into that, but I think it's definitely going to be a thing. I mean it's already happening. It's just at a very small scale, but I mean everything starts off at a small scale and eventually it's going to grow into something huge. I mean, just like voice technology, I mean it's probably going to overtake most of the other technologies that we have today. Metaverse, blockchain obviously is the way of the future. But yeah, it's very, very small right now, but I would imagine if we had the same discussion 10 years from now, it'd be quite a bit different.
Yeah. I'm kind of intrigued myself to see where it all goes. Really am. Oh, Josh, what do you think about this old man over here?
Oh, I think we need to bring this old man back on in the future.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If there was something that you could tell the student that's looking at the end of this video, somewhere in the future, about content creation, about developing or evolving themselves, where would you begin? Because you seem to be a man of many different talents.
Don't be afraid to get started. First off, like the sitting in front of a camera and just creating is such a powerful thing. I remember when I first started making content, like, I mean, I told you guys as a child, I was super shy. I mean, I was never in front of a camera. And the first time I ever created a video, I mean, everything had to be perfect before I like actually was comfortable releasing that. But what I found today is like, just create. I mean, just turn a camera on and sit in front of it and document your life and put that out there. I mean, like, it's such a difficult thing to overcome, that fear of like turning a camera on and letting the world see that. But like, I can guarantee you the algorithm doesn't care what you look like, how good of a camera you have, how good, I mean, yeah, it's going to care a little bit about how good your audio is. But at the end of the day, like, as many at bats as you can get is what's really going to matter. I mean, I've recently found success with YouTube Shorts, and if you're creating, you have to focus on short form videos right now. I mean, in every platform, but YouTube is pushing them super hard right now. I've tripled my subscriber count in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Just by doing YouTube Shorts that are 15-second YouTube Shorts. I've spent 10-20 hours creating long form video that get 40 views. I've been creating these 15-second YouTube Shorts of little home tours, and I mean, I think I've had 150,000 views in the past 2 weeks.
Wow.
So like focusing on what's working in those industry or in those platforms, I think is super beneficial. And then kind of figuring out what time of day has been another kind of crucial thing that I've found lately. Just throwing things at the algorithm all day long and seeing what times actually work. And for me, it's been, unfortunately, after midnight, 3 a.m. and 8 a.m. So times that I don't necessarily want to be posting, but I mean, you have to experiment. You have to throw things at these algorithms. And I mean, you have to get in front of a camera and turn the damn thing on and just create.
Do you think that those are the times when the algorithm is looking for more videos of Mrs. Claus?
I mean, it's very possible, but I mean, there was no video of Mrs. Claus is the thing here, and I mean that was 5 years ago at this point, but maybe we'll bring that one back this year.
Chris, where can people find you? Social media, email, whatever information you want to share. Go ahead and do that right now, my friend.
Yeah, so basically all my social media handles, you can just search Chris Hubble. Last name is Hubel. You'd be able to find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I have a Twitter. I don't ever use it, so don't look for me on there because I'm never on it. I have a TikTok. It's Chris Hubble official. I don't know exactly what it is, but just search Chris Hubble. You'll find that as well. Not very active on TikTok though.
All right.
And you can see here, we actually have. I'm sitting here. I'm watching his site here.
Okay.
Yeah.
ChrisHubble.com.
Chris, my friend, it has been a heck of discussion. I appreciate you taking time to come and share a little bit of your life with our students. You were asking me earlier about the viewership that we have. Well, and I said that I would explain this later. The main reason that we even thought to do this platform were for the students. You know, it's not like we're trying to grow it to be hundreds of thousands of followers because my perception is warped anyways. No, I just want the content to be there for years to come for those students that are at these turning points in their lives and they want to do something other than what they've been doing.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe they'll have one of those moments where you were about to close for your house and you said, you know, I can do this. I had a moment myself. I don't know if I even told it. It was when I was watching the Tony Robinson. He did the Netflix, you know, I forget the name of the special. Oh, I Am Not Your Guru. And in 2013, I was sitting there and I'm watching it. And he said, the guy on stage, you see him? He's like, I created that MF. And when he said it, it rung like a bell in my head. You know, I can use all these platforms to create me, whatever version of me I want it to be, right? And I think probably one of the bigger and most powerful things you could have said in this discussion is that it's okay to continually evolve. It's okay to become another version of yourself. And I think this, as creators, we often are going through that phase. You know, it's like, okay, I conquered and I did this. What's next?
Yeah.
You know, and I as I'm about to become a young 50-ish, that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, the next phase. What is that? What does it look like? You know, and but yet and still, as we're doing it, we have all these tools that we've, you know, had at our disposal that we're able to use to create, to become an even greater version of ourselves. So that's what I take away from the conversation. I appreciate you definitively. Josh?
Please come back soon.
Absolutely. You guys invite me, I'll be here. I was telling Carlos I don't turn down podcast invites. So here we are. I was told about this at noon today. Here I am at 3.
And what I really appreciated about some of your dialogue, Chris, is you went back to your childhood, how you were uncomfortable as a kid. You were shy as a kid. You didn't speak much. And you kind of used that insecurity and turned it into a strength.
Preach.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But just listen, I find it so hard to believe when someone says, you know, I was really shy and I didn't talk that much. Your personality is just so mega on fire. You know, so do you ever watch, is it Sunset something?
Selling Sunset.
Yeah.
I've made videos about Selling Sunset.
You have?
Yeah.
You seem like the personality that should have its own show akin to like that.
Do we got time for a quick story?
I want to hear 1,000%.
All right. So my about a year and a half in the industry. So I just recently departed from a brand that I created called Inked Michigan Realty. I walked away from it, left it to my 2 business partners that I brought in. I essentially started a 3-way partnership that I, quite frankly, just regretted.
Okay.
So I stepped away from that. But when I first started that brand and brought these 2 equal partners in, we were actually approached by a production company and filmed a pilot for a real estate reality TV show. It didn't end up going anywhere, but that was a year and a half into my industry. I've kind of in the back of my head made it a goal to eventually end up there. I I have a very loud personality, and honestly, like I've discovered while doing long form video with Eric that I really do like acting. I've never had any sort of like training in that sort of regards, but I really like just like off the cuff acting. So I've kind of made it a goal of mine to eventually kind of end up in one of those sort of roles. So we'll see if that ever comes true, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. Maybe something that isn't quite as scripted as Selling Sunset, but no, I would definitely love to use my personality in that sort of way.
You're the type of individual, to me, who really should invest in the camera guy who follows him all day, every day, and just takes the content and just uploads it.
That's what Eric was. You gave him a full-time job. I already had him. You paid him more.
Well, you know,
you bought him out, Carlos. You bought him out.
I've been blamed for taking a lot of things. I guess I'll take Eric too.
Oh my goodness.
Listen, my friend, I appreciate you. Definitely look forward to having the next conversation, and by all means, continue to do the great things that you are. Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the invite.
Definitely.
All right, man. Good stuff.
Yeah. What's your takeaway for the day, Josh?
My takeaway is turn your insecurity into a strength.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway by listening to Chris today.
Yeah. My takeaway is, despite where you are in your life, you're on your pathway to greatness. You know, you really are. And I think that we can't say that enough. I think that people, whether it be our students or anyone, they get to these points in their lives and they feel like this is it. I can't go any further. This is all that I can do. I become complacent. I stay here in this relationship. I stay here at this job. And there's so much more to life, you know? And if you really just are willing to enjoy the process, ultimately you get there. That's if you don't quit. And so I believe that for me, it's the biggest takeaway from last week into this one. You know, just being willing to say that I'm not the best that I can be right now, and I'm okay with that. But I'm working on me. You know, now you have Chris, he comes in, and before you see anybody else in the room, I don't care if there was sexy Mrs. Claus standing in the ring, you're gonna see Chris. You know, he has the disc right here in his ear, you know, and he just he smiles and it just lights up the entire room. You automatically you're drawn to him.
Positive energy.
Absolutely. Who is this guy? And then he starts to talk, and I don't get the whole shy thing, but by all means, it's like, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is where you go. And then he's a wealth of knowledge. You know, I was contemplating having him sell my house. I'm just saying. I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I got some property I need to get rid of too. Yeah, that's another story. That's absolutely another story. I was actually told don't sell, so we'll figure that one out as we go. He's going to be the right person to ask to while I still have him in studio. That part. All right, Josh, go ahead and send us home for the week.
All right, we'll be back next Tuesday, correct?
That's correct.
All right, back next Tuesday. But in the meantime, this is the Tech School Podcast powered by DSDT. See ya.